Oh, did you think I'd forgotten about you? I had not. This week in fantasy, week 5 preview. And I know what you're thinking. Who's the guest this week? We've seen Jackson, we've seen Spencer, we've seen Aaron. King of Funny with no Mike showed up. So who is it going to be? We even saw Sam. We even saw Seagouch. Who's left? Well, it's not even someone from the league. It's your boy and my boy, AB. AB, how's it going?
It's going fucking awesome, man. Let's just get it doing.
Let's get
Let's
it.
do it.
So last week, week 4, we're going to review these matchups very quickly. We had Maximum Kellermans versus Stephen A. Race. I'm going to scroll down, click on Simple Box Score, which is to the right of Recap, to the left of Full Box Score, and examine Spencer's team here, which did very well. Jared Goff put up a droopy 40. Hyde and Lindsay got about 14 each. Love to see that. Brown got a dozen. Even when he's double teamed, he'll get you a dozen. Adam Thielen continues to be top tier. Jokey Graham reeled in a touchdown. All in all, great week for Spencer. And Max McKellarman's did pretty well. Lynch got him a solid 15. Chimera went off in his last week of being the solo running back. But Hooper really poopered Rampy here. And Drizzy Droop really showed his Jewish side. So what do you think about this match here? What do you think the key was, Austin?
Well, it looks like Jared Goff just absolutely went off as the Rams have been doing all season. Uh, Rivers, he's a medium quarterback, but if you see the talent in the league right now, like, look, Rivers got you 21.7. Jared Goff went off. Jared Goff went off like most quarterbacks are in this league right now. And if you know the league that we're in, the quarterbacks are always favored. So even if we see over here, Lynch got some more points than Hyde did, but Lynch is always going to do that. You can't promise your team on Lynch's success because Lynch is always going to do that. So where Spence has the upper hand is with his quarterback, and obviously you see that with the points. And I think really what it bumbles down to is Aaron just has a bad quarterback. And I mean Rivers is good and the Chargers are good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, the Chargers aren't going to go to the Super Bowl this league. He really should have chosen just a better QB overall.
Okay. So even though Aaron put up 117, he takes the L. So let's move on to the King of Funny's game, where the King of Funny also took an L. And Ben is moving down to 1 and 3. Now Aaron is also 1 and 3, which 1 and 3 is one of those records that it gets pretty hard to come back from because you get to the point where you're sitting there at 1 and 3 and you say, okay, well, I'm in a position where I can really only lose one, maybe two more games for the rest of the year if I want to make the playoffs. So it's just a hard hole to dig yourself out of. And here Ben really got screwed by Josh Howard. And even though Cooper Kupp went off, Tyreek Hill did not have a good week. Michael Crabtree did not have a good week. A lot of players on Ben's team really came up soft here. And even though Mahomes continues to do well, he took a loss to the self-proclaimed crap for bacon. So when you look at Ben's team, Austin, do you think that Mahomes is going to be able to lead Ben to a winning record?
Mahomes he's such a wild card right now. It's kind of like watching Mahomes at Texas Tech. You can't depend on the offense. You definitely can't depend on the defense. But what you can depend on is Patrick Mahomes putting up the numbers. And what Ben has to worry about is not Patrick, but Ben has to worry about his other players. Tyreek is obviously going to put up the points. But look at these guys. He's got Le'Veon Bell. Why has he been putting him in? Josh Gordon's going to get him some points. Greg Olson's going to give him that. I don't think Patrick's a worry at all. And if you can see from the media this week, Patrick's always going to have those numbers. So you might as well just take him out of the equation for now as of week 4. But Patrick Ben's quarterback is never going to be the problem because right now Ben's quarterback is what's getting him the numbers. And even though this last week against whoever they were against, I watched it, but he might not have had his best numbers, but Patrick Mahomes had his best game of the season. You really get to see what he's doing and how well he performed at Tech is transitioned over to the big leagues. There's no worry for him. But the rest of Ben's lineup, Patrick has, even if Ben has Tyreek Hill, Patrick has so many weapons that even Tyreek might not get him the points he needs because Patrick has so many spread out options. So we really need to look at Ben's other lineup, which I'm seeing Crabtree, James, Cohen. Like Ben's lineup, it just seems like Ben was on auto draft for half of this. Like, what do you? Ben usually is a guy who's really good at picking his teams, but it seems like Ben might be in some other leagues or, just, you know, I don't know. I don't trust Ben's team right now. I like the Patrick and the Hill, and I like Olsen as well. Don't get me wrong, and even Randall Cobb. But I mean, this team just doesn't impress me. So you can't ride Patrick Mahomes. Just whatever.
One thing you can say about Ben is at least he does have Cohen, who is the backup to Howard. Of course, Howard did not have a good week because, what do you know, was having a little issue there, so that's why Cohen had to come in. But for Ben, it's a crushing third loss, and we should move on to saving Matt Ryan versus Seagouch, aka Seagouch's war against himself. Poor Seagouch
Mm-hmm.
here puts up 86, but it doesn't matter. No Fry just blew his doors off. And Kirk Cousins had a great game. Melvin Gordon had a great game. Julio Jones was Julio Jones despite no touchdown. Calvin Ridley, well, he's been popping off for Atlanta. Julio gets doubled. Ridley gets the touchdowns. Kels, aka Kelsey, great tight end option. Really, No Fried is looking like a juggernaut team here. And Seagouch is in a position where T.Y. Hilton is not very healthy, and Odell Beckham, how many touchdowns does he have? Well, zero. Have you heard of the word zero? OBJ, a little bit gassed up there. But Seagouch gets crushed. Over to One Johnny Football versus Bing Bong. Carson Wentz, consistent 20. Devote Sonny Michel. You know what's funny? Sonny Michel has been so great lately. He's really been popping off. 17 and 17. I wonder if it will stay consistent. You know what they say, 3 times makes a trend. Michael Thomas did not do well. Pretty much the first time all year. Sterling Shepard was a good pickup, but now he's on Cameron's team, oddly enough. This tight end, Dissy for Seattle, started off great, ended up being shitty, and then hurt himself. Cameron doesn't quite break 100, and it hurts him here. So looking at this matchup, Cameron unfortunately falls to 2-2. Weston jumps to 3-1, right on my heels. Cameron's tight end really screwing him. The tight ends are not deep at all. Lilly here loses again, doesn't plug in James White. Jackson puts up over 100. Connor puts up 6. This game is what it is. Tucker did well, the UT grad. Gurley was Gurley. Zeke went off despite the Cowboys not being that great. Vikings got -3. Lilly loses pretty badly. Sam and I, lots of action on the bench. TJ Yeldon did well. Ebron, decent. But the story, Gio Bernard doing well, but of course Andrew Luck on the bench for Sam. Kettle on the bench. And Sam puts up 80 and loses. Unfortunately for him, Fitzmagic has ended. And it's Jameis back at the helm of that team. So, Austin, with me taking this win, what do you think about Fitzpatrick not being the guy anymore?
Well, I see Fitzpatrick. It's just a league that's. It seems like it's turning a new generation, and Fitzpatrick can't really keep up with who was the quarterback before who got suspended.
Winston, Jameis
You whatever.
Winston.
Yeah, yeah. Fitzpatrick can't keep up with the heat Jameis brought. Shout out to PC Culture for bringing Jameis out, but I really feel bad for Fitzpatrick. He had such high expectations with his team this year, and they're just really failing at every level. Kind of similar to the Cowboys. Kind of similar to the Cowboys every year. Let's get that right. The Cowboys fans are so delusional, thinking they're going to go, but Fitzpatrick, you just can't. I don't know. I have no hope in that man. So, I mean, there's my take.
It's a good one. I don't think
Good.
Fitz really has much future. He'll get you a few good games, but he doesn't really have a lot of upside. So
Yeah, I agree.
let's click on week 5 up top and then go to Stephen A. race. No, actually, we will begin with Aaron's matchup. Maxman Kellerman's and Crap for Bacon. Do you see it?
I'm pulling it up right now. Maximum Kellums versus Crap for Bacon. I'm on it. Yes, sir.
Okay. So to start, I'm gonna sort of go through a few things and then I'll set you up with specific questions. All right? Because it's gonna
Good.
take way too long if we go for every single one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Philip Rivers versus Deshaun Watson. I think Philip Rivers is gonna have a good game, and Deshaun Watson is playing a Cowboys defense without Sean Lee. Now the Cowboys defense, of course, without Sean Lee is not the same. He is a completely different sort of guy that just is a complete difference maker. He's that good. So I ask you, Austin, who is going to win this week between Dallas and Houston?
You know, even though it's in Houston, I'm gonna give this one to the boys. Not because I'm a fan of the boys, but I just think Dallas's defense is gonna have Deshaun Watson shook because Deshaun really last year he showed what he was worth, and even though he lost a couple of his players, nothing ever happened. But Deshaun Watson this year, he just, I mean, I would honestly pick Dak Prescott over him, but I don't think Deshaun Watson can stand up anywhere near the Cowboys defense because I think the Cowboys defense is their strong suit this year. You can tell by looking at their wide receiver. They have nothing, and their money's invested in defense. I think Deshaun is going to be shut out. I think the Cowboys offense is going to take it slow, but they're going to win. And I have the Cowboys winning by 3 this week, actually. So,
Okay.
I just no faith in Deshaun Watson. I just think he's out.
Well, certainly he's not as prolific as he was last year. I'm going to be interested to see by the end of this year if he's sort of gotten back to where he was. So Marshawn Lynch has been the picture of consistency, and I don't think that's going to change versus the Chargers. I like him a lot, actually, especially compared to LaShawn McCoy, who has been pretty dog shit all year. That one's a pretty clear-cut edge to Lynch. Alvin Kamara's in a weird spot because, quite frankly, he's been the solo act in the backfield, and Mark Ingram is back. He's facing off against Carson, who is the Seattle guy, and because he got to play the Cowboys without Sean Lee, he looked pretty good. But playing the Rams this week, I do not think he will do that well. Now, Austin, last week, Chris Carson did very well versus the Cowboys, 18 fantasy points after rushing for over 100 yards and getting a touchdown. Do you think that he will do very well versus the Rams this week? Will his success continue?
Okay. I think, yeah, man, I honestly think that the Cowboys defense will hold up this week. I had to think about it a couple of seconds, but they're going to hold up. I have no doubt. Even though Chris Carnes got all those points, we're just Houston just isn't a good team overall. I think Houston is maybe the worst bottom 3 teams of the league, and there's no way that they're going to run it over Dallas's defense. That's just where I put them at right now. I think Houston is right there with not the maybe the Raiders at this point. They're bad. They're not a good team. So
Okay. So Hopkins, I would say, would do better than 5.7, and Stephon Diggs has been pretty good. I would give him the edge over Cole, who really just had one good game. And Diggs, of course, with Thielen, has been solid. Diggs is a little more boom or bust than Thielen is. Ricky Seals-Jones has a rookie quarterback, so I mean he's at a position that's real thin, so there's that. He's going up against Benjamin Watson, who, considering that good old Ingram's going to be back, he's going to be blocking a lot. I'll take Seals Jones there, honestly. Boyd, He's been solid, honestly. That was a good pickup by Aaron. I give him the edge over Beasley, who is on an offense that simply is not very good, sort of relies on Zeke almost exclusively to win. I don't know if you saw this, Austin, but last week the Cowboys' biggest play was when they had Zeke all the way out there as a receiver in a shotgun formation, and they threw him a long bomb, and he reeled it in. You,
You know, Coach Garrett was smiling like no other once he put him in that slot right there.
yes, he was very happy with himself after he figured that one out. I'm glad after all those years, Garrett figured that one out.
Yeah.
Will Lutz versus Mason Crosby, about a wash, honestly. And then the Texans defense versus Dallas, and then the Eagles. I think the Texans will probably have a decent day. I would give them the slight edge. Overall, I would say that Aaron's team gets the advantage. Who would you predict to win here?
I would say Houston's only edge is that they're at home. I honestly don't believe in them at all, and it seems like no matter
I'm
what
asking
game,
about Aaron versus Clapfor, not Houston.
clap. Okay,
So who do you think's gonna win?
okay. I think I'm looking at these players right now. Uh, I've got it. Wow. Oh my god. Okay, I've got to go for Kellerman's
All right.
over on Aaron's side because I don't know. I think Julian Edelman will just make it happen for this team. I'm looking at crap for bacon and what do you got? Watson, McCoy. There's nothing that stands out. Even Beasley even. There's nothing to me that's just gonna stand out. I really stand with Aaron's team on this round.
Okay.
I I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, it's a solid prediction. Now let's move on. Stephen A. Race versus Mahomes is where the heart is. That's Benny versus Spencer. So we got Mahomes facing a true defensive test in Jacksonville this week. And then Jared Goff facing off against the remnants of the Seattle defense. Personally, I think Goff is going to obliterate the Seattle defense. And I think the Chiefs will win, but Mahomes is probably going to throw his first pick this week. Jalen Ramsey is a very talented corner. Who is going to win, the Chiefs or Jacksonville? And how will Mahomes throw an interception this week?
Um. So coming from someone who's a Mahomes stan, even over Ben Rogers, you would call it. Mahomes threw plenty of picks in his college league, and picks have been something that the Kansas City Chiefs have been predicting since his first game of 2017 last year against the Broncos. It's the only game he started. They thought he would throw picks then. He didn't. They thought he would throw picks every game this season. I don't think a pick is going to be what's defining of this game because we've been planning for every single game because of the man's arm. And the Chiefs are planning on it because of how he played at Tech. But the difference between Texas Tech and Kansas City is the weapons. Texas Tech had choke wide receivers. He had a halfback, but the halfbacks are never good. He had one over 3 years who went to the league. But the Chiefs are always planning for this interception or this turnover or whatever. I think Mahomes is going to get it done this week. The Jaguars' defense are going to be great, of course. But look, you've got 4 or 5 teams now studying this man night and day, and they can't get it done. And you know why they can't get it done? Is because the kid has legs and he has an arm. So if you're trying to protect his arm, he's got you with the legs. If you got his legs, he's throwing 70 yards down the field. You can't get him. And it's because of all of his weapons and his talent. And Mahomes is going to show that this tomorrow, Sunday.
That's
And you're just
true.
going to be amazed by him. As all of college career went, Oklahoma tried getting it. Oklahoma couldn't get it. Every bowl game, they had 11 weeks of study on the man. you just can't shut him out. He's going to get it with his legs, a back, or a receiver, and he has those weapons to do so.
Devote Freeman is returning this week after his leg injury. That will, of course, affect the value of Coleman. He's facing off against the Baltimore running back, Allen. I would honestly give Allen the advantage here. And then Johnson, who of course is really the only Detroit running back since Reggie Bush to do anything, facing off against Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde's a monster. The guy's in an offense now that's a lot better than it was. He gets a lot of touches, and he's definitely going to get at least 12. Tyreek Hill versus Antonio Brown. I like Brown's matchup a lot better. Cooper Kupp versus Adam Thielen. Two great players. I expect them to both break 15, although I think I would honestly give Thielen the edge. Jesse James versus Jokey Graham. Jokey Graham gets the slight edge. I don't really like either. Keenan Allen's playing Oakland. I think he'll grab 14 points. Although he's failed to crack 7 in the last 3 weeks. Michael Crabtree playing Cleveland. Hasn't broke 10. It is what it is. Vinatieri got 8. Gold, with the new quarterback starting, I don't think is going to have a very good week. The Jets are playing Denver, and the Panthers are playing the Giants. Let's see. I guess that's about a wash. Greg Olsen hurt. Randall Cobb hurt. Le'Veon holding out. But Ingram is unsuspended, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. So Spencer will probably plug in. Well, I don't know. I would assume he would plug in Ingram over Freeman. And I think I would have to give Spencer the advantage. Goff is guaranteed points, and Spencer has a ton of weapons between Hyde and Ingram and Goff. I would say that that's like at least 60. And then Brown and Thielen are going to get 10. It's just going to be a lot for Ben to overcome with Mahomes having to play a really good defense and Olsen still being hurt. So I edge Spencer here. What do you think, Austin?
I don't think, in Ben's case, you've seen over the past couple of weeks, Mahomes isn't his defining factor. It's Ben's lack. It just seems like when Ben came into this fantasy, he just wanted Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And the rest of the guys, like, they're good, but it doesn't seem like Ben put too much thought in it. And, I'll give it to you. I don't think Mahomes is going to win it for Ben because this Jaguars defense is so good. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Ben's not going to win this just because he has Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the AFC.
Okay,
But
that's solid reasoning. So let's move on to Bing Bong 3, Ragnarok, and Saving Matt Ryan. Two old friends, C. Gouch and Cameron, square off. Christian 1-3, Cam 2-2. C. Gouch loses this game. I'd say that it's curtains for his season, so it's a really big deal. Matty Ice playing Pittsburgh. He'll have a great game, but he's facing off against Aaron Rodgers, who will also have a great game. Derrick Henry, Bilal Powell, neither are really very appealing at all. I mean in any way whatsoever. Derrick Henry hasn't broken 6. Bilal Powell has gotten in double digits once. I'll take neither. Saquon Barkley has been exceptionally talented, and frankly, I can't believe that the Giants have finally gotten a running back to work. I've heard so many years about, oh, this year is the Giants running back, and then everyone was dick riding Saquon Barkley, and he's actually lived up to the hype. It's been pretty damn impressive. Although, this Matt Brady guy, he's been pretty good, but I really am not high on the Niners after Jimmy G got hurt. I think they'll pretty much be one of the worst teams in the league now. So that is not good at all if you have 49ers. How do you think the 49ers are going to do, Austin?
honestly, the 49ers are right there with Dallas with me. And I even put the Browns over the 49ers just can't get it done. The team is the league is so flip-flop this year that you're seeing these team names, like even the Browns. The Browns might have lost every game but one, but you're going to put the Browns over the 49ers because you see the talent around and the potential. And I just the 49ers just I have no faith in them. I mean, it seems like the 49ers are what the Titans were 5 years ago. It's just really bad. And that's where I'll leave it at that. I mean, yeah, we'll go with that. I just don't
Yeah,
believe it.
I agree. So Jordan Reed is a guy who you pretty much are relying on to catch a touchdown. You don't ever really expect yards from him. You're just hoping for touchdowns. And frankly, in a league that is really thin at tight end, he's not horrible. Kyle Rudolph, better though. I'd give Rudolph the edge. Galladay,
Of course.
he's actually gotten triple digits 3 times this year. I remember thinking he would do pretty good versus Dallas, but weird. Odell Beckham's been a pretty damn big flop. This game is pretty hard to call. I would honestly give Landry the advantage over Beckham, as weird as that sounds. Seagouch kept Bailey despite Bailey flopping the first week. Cam put in Alshon Jeffrey, who is better than Westbrook. Man, I think I would actually give Cameron the advantage in this game, although it's very slight.
That's what I was going for right here. I think Cameron got him beat.
Now, the defining factor here for me is this the week where Odell Beckham breaks like 17 points? Because everyone who got Odell got him in the first round. And frankly, he's been disappointing for where you drafted him. If you
I for the past 2 years, I'll no matter what no matter who what says, I'm not gonna put it on Odell. So in my opinion, it's not gonna be on Odell. It's just what I'm getting at. But
you mean you wouldn't draft him,
he's
you
not.
don't like him?
I would draft Odell, but I would probably make him a backup because the man's so hot headed that he just hasn't caught the passes you need him to these past 2 years. I don't. I'm just not a fan of Odell.
Okay. Let's move on to one Johnny Football Please versus No Fried. And I think No Fried is looking pretty strong here. Kirk Cousins versus Wentz. One of those weird mirrors. I definitely expect Cousins to get the better end of that. Gordon versus Mixon. You know, Wentz actually has looked a little rusty. He doesn't look back to himself. Mixon is back, which of course tanks Gio's value. He's hurt anyway. Melvin Gordon will outperform him, though. I have no doubt about that. Sonny Michel already punched in 17 for Old Weston, so he can start bragging before the weekend starts. Good for him. Advantage Michel. Emmanuel Sanders is, well, you know, he's Emmanuel Sanders, but Julio's better. I'll give it to Julio. Mike Williams, the Chargers receiver, the number 2 to Spencer's dude, presumably, versus Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas had been great until last week. I'll give the advantage to Thomas. Kelsey versus Gates. It blows my mind that Antonio Gates still plays in the league. Advantage Kelsey. Calvin Ridley versus Chris Thompson. Thompson was essentially rage dropped. It'll be interesting to see how he does for Johnny Football. And Calvin Ridley. Now, what do you think, Calvin Ridley? 33 points. You know, he's fucking great, actually, which is mind-blowing. And interestingly, Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones started in the same lineup, but the Falcons aired out so much it's not actually bad. And Austin Hooper catches so little that it works. Holy shit. But who's gonna win this one?
I have Johnny Football, please, just because Kirk Cousins, he's okay, but I have Wentz going in this one, and I also think Emmanuel Sanders and Mitchell, also Antonio Gates. I just don't think, even though No Fried Rice has Travis Kelce and Julio, those are good, but they haven't been getting it done this year. Even Kelce didn't get it going off till the fourth quarter of his past game. I think Johnny Football, just because it's a better team, it looks like they've been proving themselves more in this league. and even I think Wentz is due. I really do. Cousins, I think he's on his way out, and I think Wentz is on his way in. The first game, that was a little whatever, but I think Wentz is really going to go off this game. Really, with Mixon running the ball, I just have faith in Mixon.
Okay. I'm actually going to go with no Fried in this one. I like his running backs. And even though Sony Michel has already done great, I think the bottom end of No Fried's team is a little stronger. I love this Cardinals pickup that he did against San Francisco because San Francisco is going to do really poorly offensively. So let's move on to the next game, the new guys versus the anomaly. Lilly has finally put in James White, who's already locked 14. Tom Brady's already locked in a hefty 28. Lilly pretty much has solid point production from New England here at 50. Andrew Luck at 22, already outdone by Brady. Kareem Hunt's playing Jacksonville, and James White did pretty well already. Although, I think Kareem Hunt's probably going to get about 14 as well. Zeke is going to outscore McCaffrey despite McCaffrey getting an insane amount of touches. I think the Cowboys have realized that that offense really runs all through Zeke. I think they'll both do very well. And then Golden Tate versus a hurt Ted Ginn. Presumably Ted Ginn's going to get swapped out for Fitz, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely going Tate here, who's actually been pretty damn good. Tyler Lockett, he's pretty much the guy that gets the touches in Seattle. But Amari Cooper had what, one good week? 2 good weeks. But he's playing the Chargers, and Lockett's playing the Rams. God, I just hate to give the advantage to Cooper. Who do you think, Tyler Lockett or Amari Cooper?
In my opinion, I'm going to Amari Cooper. Just uh, I've really watched him the past couple of years. I just think Amari Cooper's gonna. That's just what I'm going with. I think he's the one.
Okay. Zach Ertz and Vic, is it Vic McDonald? Let's see. Vance
Yeah.
McDonald. Yeah, Zach Ertz is way better. Will Fuller is a guy that I like a lot, but Lamar Miller's consistent points. I would still take Fuller over a crappy Cowboys secondary. No, actually Miller, because Sean Lee's hurt. Goskowski 8 points. I think that Elliott will get 9. The Cowboys defense, I don't think it's going to do very well because no Sean Lee. And the Vikings defense, they will do decent. I'm definitely giving the edge to the new guys. Who do you think's going to win?
Um. I'm torn on this one because Sean Lee's out, but I don't think Sean Lee makes the difference between this because the Cowboys aren't an offense right now; they're a defense. And even if Sean Lee's out, I I'm just gonna roll with the boys.
Okay. So for
And
the
that's it for me. I just think I'm rolling with the boys.
okay. So for our final game, let's move on to the two undefeated teams. This is me
Let's do it.
and Jackson. So Drew Brees versus Cam Newton. Cam Newton's playing a very
Team
weak
names.
defense. What's up?
Team names.
It's Oy Vey and Gruden's Grinders.
Who would have thought?
Drew Brees and Cam Newton. Cam Newton playing a weak defense, so is Drew Brees. I think both of these guys are going to go for 25 plus. TJ Yeldon's playing Kansas City. Fournette still sorta, he's Fournette. But Todd Gurley's a monster. He's going to rack up a ton of points. David Johnson's playing a shit tier San Francisco team who just lost really one of their only good players. And I think this is the week where David Johnson finally punches it up past 20. Connor, this is probably going to be the week where he gets it back because, you know, he knows that Bell is coming back and he wants to at least turn it into a timeshare, and he's playing a defense that isn't all that great. He probably snags a dozen. AJ Green, I would say, is going to get 15. He's playing Miami. They got shellacked last week. Miami, to me, they're too inconsistent to trust, although they're not bad per se. Woods of LA, Robert Woods. I always forget his first name. You know, at this point, these Rams guys, if you have them, you're starting them. They have a very good chance of getting a tight end. It's probably the best offense in the league, at least with fantasy. Very powerful. Brandon Cooks, you know, just hit hit the back arrow twice just to hear what I said again. The same thing applies to Cooks. But Adams is very powerful. Gotten a touchdown in 3 out of his 4 games. I give the advantage to Adams. Gronk has already netted me 7.5, while Ebron went ham on my bench. But he'll outdo Hooper, and if he doesn't, I will lose. Smith-Schuster, definitely going to nab me at least a dozen. Versus Collins, who is the solo act in Baltimore. Give the slight edge to Smith-Schuster here. Atlanta's defense, I'm not too scared of it. Justin Tucker's going to have a monstrous game. I give him the advantage over Bryant. And the Rams are playing Seattle, and the Pats already turned in mediocre 7. Personally, I would give the advantage to me here, although I think Gurley very easily could just destroy the game very quickly. What do you think? Who's going to win?
I think this game's like you can't even talk about this game. Drew Brees is going on his record this week, so you know Drew Brees is going to be throwing every single thing up in the air he can because he's passing Peyton's record. Also, look what you got. You got Gronkowski already with 7.5 and Juju Smith. Juju Smith is gonna run it out the fucking ballpark this week, and you got the Rams defense. You have nothing to worry about this week. You know, AJ Green on it as well. Cooks. This team is unbeatable, and I think Gruden's grinders might as well not even look at the scoreboard this week, just because you got Drew Brees chasing a record. He's gonna get it, and the team, it's just stacked. It's literally like watching Alabama versus someone like Texas Tech. Yeah, it's just stacked. They got one person over at Gruden's Grinders. That's it. Hooper maybe. I'm going with Oive all day.
Alrighty, and with that, the TWIF episode is concluded, guys. This will be a great week. 4-0 versus 4-0. Have a good one.